Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Sash. If you have subscribed to my channel, thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate the support. If you're new to this channel, I hope you like my content, and if you do, feel free to join by clicking the subscription button below, and also click the notification bell so you'll be notified when I post new videos. If you do like the video and you've been liking my content so far, please click the like button below so YouTube could recommend this video to other people who might like similar content as well. And to get started, I recently got back from my birthday trip to Paris and it was amazing. So I'm gonna share with you little tips and tricks that I learned while planning my trip. And also because while I was planning my trip, I was doing a ton of research. And so I'm like, why not compile whatever I have learned from my personal experience into one video? So that's what I'm gonna share with you today. So starting off, I booked my trip on Expedia. I used the package that combined both the hotel and the airfare in one package. I found that that was cheaper for me than if I did them separately. Another tip I would want to tell you, try to go in the off season. It's more expensive to go to Paris in like the summer, but thankfully around my birthday time in December, it was like way cheaper. It's like half the price of what the summer would cost, because I was also looking at the summer prices as well. So booking the off season, like the winter, and even though it's winter, it's still, the weather is still nice. You just need to pack your coat and your scarves, but you probably won't need, you know, to be bundled up every day. It was still really nice weather outside. Not to say it's hot now, but it's still cold, but it's a cold that you can enjoy. And also I think after the summer holiday in September going down, the weather is still gonna be like summer weather, and the prices are gonna be way cheaper than during the peak season. Another thing I've always used, sometimes I use booking.com, but this time I just went with the cheaper option, which happened to be Expedia. And I stayed at Expedia VIP Access Hotel, and since I'm an Expedia VIP member, I got a complimentary room upgrade, and also they brought me a complimentary wine, and you know, the service was really good. When you're going, I think for first timers like myself, the best thing I would recommend is stay in the center of the city, like in the city center. So when you're looking for a hotel, make sure you look like on Expedia, they have the option where you can select where exactly you want the hotel. So make sure you look in the city center, because it will be close to everything. And as a first timer, it depends on what you want to do though. If you want to do the touristy stuff, you want to see what everybody's talking about, like the main places like the Eiffel Tower, the museums, you know, it's best to stay in the center of the city. If you like shopping, especially designer shopping, that's the place to be. I'm telling you, tons of cafes. Stay in the center. It's gonna be cheaper for you in the long run, and it's gonna be easier to navigate rather than being further out and having to find your way to the center every time you wanna do an activity. It's gonna cost more if you're further out than if you're right in the heart of everything. Just like how New York is divided into 5 boroughs, Paris is divided into sections. They call them arrondissements. So we stayed in the 8th arrondissement. That word. So yeah, we stayed in the 8th one. So that one was close to everything. Close to the Champs-Élysées, walking distance to the Eiffel Tower, and we could walk to the Louvre. The Louvre was like a 30-minute walk though, but it's a nice walk, so you would love it. So even though it's 30 minutes, we were walking and looking at everything, so we didn't even notice that the time was flying by. So honestly, in my newbie first timer Paris opinion, I would recommend you stay in any hotel in the 8th arrondissement. That word sounds so funny. Anyway, yeah, so that's my recommendation. The hotels in that area, they might be a little more expensive than the ones that are further out, but if still, even though, as I said, look in the off season, it will fall within your budget, because you find that there are even the hotels that like super expensive in the summer, when you look in the off seasons that I mentioned earlier, it will be like way cheaper, like way cheaper. So that's the neighborhood. If I was to ever go back, I would stay in the 8th. I would definitely stay in the 8th arrondissement. I think the Eiffel Tower is in the 7th arrondissement. So over there too, if you found a hotel nearby that, I think that will be fine too. Especially for newbies. I'm not talking about people who have been there umpteen times and are over the whole touristy mess. If you're a newbie like myself and we wanted to experience the whole, touristy vibe, definitely stay close to the little touristy stuff because it's fun. But oldies who've been there, they're probably over it. But us newbies, it was bomb. It was totally bomb. I would do it again. So for our hotel, as I mentioned in my Paris vlog, I did a tour of the hotel, so you could look at my birthday trip to Paris vlog if you want to see like a detailed tour of the hotel. I stayed at the Villa Marquis. It's in the 8th arrondissement. It's a beautiful hotel. It's a smaller hotel, more boutique-y. The staff was very friendly when we came. She literally got out a map and then she showed us on the map all the different areas, because we told her what we were interested in seeing, and she plotted it out on the map and circled everything and gave us little walking directions. We were like, oh, go to the left, follow the river, and all that. So, and then she even pointed out a little area where we could go. It had tons of beautiful little cafes. We could go to have lunch. So the staff was very helpful. That's one thing I was so grateful for. And it's a hotel staff, but they spoke both English, French, multiple languages. So we didn't encounter any, problems translation wise, so that was nice. The hotel was very beautiful. Everything was so clean. I loved that. They brought me chocolates and macaroons every day. They gave me a complimentary bottle of champagne. I think it's because I told them it's my birthday. And also, it's an Expedia VIP access property too. So if you're an Expedia VIP member and you go to the access properties, you could get a complimentary room upgrade. So we did take advantage of that. We got a bigger room and we got a tub. You could look at my video and see the room for yourself. It was really nice. The best thing about that hotel is the location. We were literally 2 blocks away from the Champs-Élysées. That was amazing. So we could literally walk over there, go to the designer stores. Like around the corner was the Dior store. So it was nice. I would recommend, if you're looking for a hotel that's centrally located, to pick that one and it's not too crazy above your budget. You could pick that one. That was really nice. I would recommend that you book your excursions ahead of time, just to have a plan so you could enjoy yourself without having to be running around looking for things to do. Especially for first timers, it could be a whole lot and it could be overwhelming. So I would suggest that you do figure out what you want to do when you go there and pay for it ahead of time, and then you won't run the risk of things being sold out when you get there last minute. So I did my excursions. I booked them on Expedia and I also booked them on Viator. So for Expedia, because I had the points from frequent bookings, I got a ton of discounts. Even from my birthday dinner, I got like $100 off the dinner. So I was like, wow. And then for Viator, I got $5 off. Listen, any dollars off is good. So if you're booking, you could use any of those services. And I had a good experience with both services. I never had any issue with the excursions. So I went to the Louvre. For that, I picked a guided tour because I wanted somebody to explain what I'm looking at, you know, because sometimes I'm not an art historian, so it was nice to have a little backstory of what we're looking at to really appreciate it. And sometimes the guide was able to point things out to me that I probably wouldn't have noticed, being that I'm not like a art, you know, enthusiast or anything, and I found it quite interesting. I also booked a guided tour for Versailles because the castle is huge. So I figured I would like somebody to, you know, walk us through, bring us to the important parts so I don't spend all day wandering and missing the most, you know, beautiful stuff there. I think so that was Versailles, and then we went for the Louvre. For the dinner cruise, I also booked that on Expedia. I'll go more in depth in that in a little bit. For my birthday, I went on the Bateau Parisiens dinner cruise. I booked it on Expedia, and as I mentioned earlier, I got like $100 off because I had the Expedia VIP points. So that was amazing. I would definitely recommend it if you're there and you want to do something, you know, laid back, something fun, you know, something a little bit, you know, more dressy. I would definitely recommend the dinner cruise. If you're there and you want to go on a romantic dinner, I loved it. So we sailed around the Seine River. It's just like a nice scenery. We went at night, so you couldn't really see much. You just saw Paris lit up, and we got to see the Eiffel Tower when it started sparkling while we were on the river. So they served a ton of wine. Oh my gosh. That's one thing about Paris. Those people love to drink wine. And the wine is cheaper than the soda, and trust me, they throw the wine like it's nothing. They will give you wine. So that's another thing. Be careful. If you're not a drinker, you're gonna get drunk. You know what I mean. So anyway, while we were on the cruise, we got, like, I think I didn't pay for the most expensive package. It wasn't, I think I paid for the middle package, right? It was not the most expensive. I think it was the third one. And I got a pretty good view, so you don't have to pay for the most expensive one to get a nice view. I think we got the same view. Those people by the window, they're paying more money than me. Their ticket was more expensive, and I still feel like we got the same view they did. So you don't have to buy the most expensive ticket. And then we got, I think it was a 3-course meal. And then they gave us, when we entered the cruise, they gave us, I think it was a glass of champagne. And then through dinner, we got white wine. Then they bought a whole bottle of red wine. And it was just the two of us. And they brought so much wine. But trust me, I made use of that. I was not going to leave that wine sitting there. Anyway, so they had a menu. We scanned the barcode and saw the menu. We opted for the scallops, and so that was pretty good as a starter. And then I think for the main course, we ordered like a sea bass, and that tasted really nice as well. And for dessert, I don't remember what I ordered, but it was okay. It was pretty good. But by that time I had drunk so much wine, let's trust me. Maybe that's why I can't remember what we got for dessert. But it was good. I really enjoyed that night, and it was my birthday, and it's a really chill, nice dinner, and it was fun. So if you're going to Paris, especially if you're going with your boyfriend, or that's a nice little treat to just sit there. Even I went with my mom, and we enjoyed it. So if you're going with your friends, it's nice. I would definitely recommend that you do it. They don't only do dinner, they do lunch cruises. I think the lunch cruise is cheaper than the dinner. And then you would be able to see Paris during the daytime on the river. They also do sightseeing tours. So if you want to just have a little quick tour on the boat, then that's also an option. I think that's way cheaper than the lunch or the dinner cruise. But if you want something more dressy and, because it's my birthday, I wanted to do something, a little bit extra, you could definitely do. So birthdays, anniversary, it's amazing. And let the people know it's your birthday, and they'll bring you, unless you don't want the whole commotion, but they'll bring you some type of sparkling thing and sing a happy birthday. So yeah, that was fun. I didn't tell them because I don't want the whole, I was halfway drunk out of my mind too, because thank God I didn't say that. Cause can you imagine? But it was fun. Currency wise and spending money while you're there, I brought with me cash because it's a rule of thumb no matter where you're going. Bring your cards, bring your credit card, debit card, but also walk with cold hard cash, because just in case you get into a scrape, it's good to have some cash on hand to, get you out. Don't ever walk without cash. So, but I didn't need a lot of cash really. I would say you probably need just 200 euros to convert into, well, just need to convert into 200 euros. That's all the spending cash you would need. Especially, I would recommend that you use your debit card and credit card because the conversion rate is way cheaper with your bank. Than you would get a better rate from your bank than you would get from the currency conversion stores in Paris. There were tons of currency conversion shops. You could just go in with your US dollars and then they would convert it to euro for you. But I found it was way cheaper to use the debit and the credit card. So one issue that I ran into, my credit card would not go through because I did not inform my bank that I would be traveling. So, but thankfully my debit card was going through, so I was able to use the debit card. So that's another thing. Whenever you're going, let your bank know ahead of time that you're gonna be traveling to X location and how long you're gonna be there. So that way your transactions don't get declined. And another thing I would wanna say, I've read that they mostly take Visa debit cards. My debit card is a Visa card, but I don't know if it would take like an American Express or something like that. But definitely for a Visa card, it went through, and notify your bank before you go that you're gonna be there. If you forget to notify the bank, you could always call them while you're there and they'll, make sure ask questions to verify that it's really you, and then you could tell them that you're trying to make XYZ purchase, and they'll probably approve it, tell you to do it again, and it will go through. But as for me, when we just did like 200 euros. We used that because the carousel by the Eiffel Tower, they only take euros. They didn't take card. And if I wanted, if I saw something like a little souvenir on the side of the street or something, it's best to just have euros to get that. But all the stores took credit cards and debit cards. We never had an issue of needing euros to purchase something in a store. When you go to the restaurant, you could pay with your credit card and debit card, no issue. And also if you saw like street food, like they had people on the corners of the street making crepes. We went to a holiday market, but they did take my debit card in the holiday market, but it would have been such a quick transaction if you just had like a few euros on you to pay for like a little crepe or something simple. As it goes to tipping, it's not like the US where they expect a tip for every single thing. They don't, but if you want to tip, they're not gonna tell you no. It's still appreciated, but you don't have to. I did notice like on my bill they already charge gratuity, but sometimes I did tip, especially if they went above and beyond and were extremely nice or provided me with some little extra tips or little tidbits or little instructions that helped to make my vacation easier. I would just give them a tip. I never tipped more than like 5 euros. That's the maximum I've ever tipped there, but you don't have to. But if you want to, you can. From the airport to the hotel, we used the Uber. The Uber charged 63 euros. And then there's a story. We got lost. The minute we got to the airport, we went to the wrong exit. The Uber was waiting in a totally different area of the airport. The Uber driver, oh my gosh, he didn't speak English. He just knew like a few words in English, so we had to go back inside the airport. Thankfully, we found a few people who, spoke both English and French, and they were able to translate what the driver is saying and then translate to the driver that we were on our way. And thankfully, that driver he stayed, he didn't leave. He had to pay and park and wait on us, and I'm so grateful that he waited, because I know in the US some Uber drivers would have been gone. They would not sit there and wait on us to come. So for that, I had to give him like a really nice tip on the app, because I was so grateful. So the drive from the airport to the city center was about like under an hour, but we went in traffic because we got there around say 7 in the morning, so we got to the hotel around 8. So by that time people are going to work, you know, the normal rush hour traffic. So it took a little bit to get there, but in all, it was so easy to get around. One thing I would recommend when you're booking your hotel, make sure you stay in the city center, because it was so easy and cheap to get around, because we were close to all the attractions. We were walking distance to almost everything. And for things that we were too tired to walk to, our Uber was like 11 euros, 10 euros. We never paid more than 11 euros. And I think it was because of our location. It was so centrally located that cut down a lot of the cost in transportation wise for us. So we could walk to most places, and then like when you're going to dinner wearing heels, you don't want to be walking. So you get like a, you know, nice, quick, cheap Uber. Now, another thing about transportation, in my video, my Paris video, I showed we took a little bicycle taxi. I would not recommend that. When you go there, avoid those people. You hear? Avoid those people, because he was riding at breakneck speed, riding into other bikes. And then whenever he came to like a stoplight, it seems like he was trying to beat the traffic to cross the street. I was like, that thing is not safe. I would not recommend you getting on there. We went on there once, and it was because we were too tired to walk back to the hotel from the Louvre. But for the rest of the trip, we avoided those bicycle taxis. And honestly, I would not, in all honesty, after my experience on it, recommend anybody to go on there. Now, it was a bit of an excitement, but a near-death excitement nonetheless. So if you can avoid it, I would definitely avoid it. And then, so that's one thing I would not. But we were so tired that day, we definitely could not walk back to the hotel. So that was the quickest option. So I speak no French at all. My mother speaks no French at all. So how did we survive in a French-speaking country? I'll let you in on the secret. So I first got an app on my phone. It's called iTranslate, and it translates from English to the selected language that I put in French, and it would translate from French back to English. And then the app would actually pronounce the words, so you could get the correct pronunciation. So that app helped. But the problem is that app only works when you have connection to Wi-Fi. I only had connection to Wi-Fi when I was at the hotel, or if we were in like a cafe or something. When we were outside on the street, I had no Wi-Fi access. So in order to get around, what I would suggest you do, there is, when we stayed in the city center, there are tons of tourists from other countries. We met a lot of tourists from London, and then tourists, you know, various countries around the world that speak English. And thankfully, if we were lost and needed directions, they were more than willing to, you know, point us in the right area. And you did meet a few people who had been there more than once, so they had the lay of the land, you know. So when you're there, don't be scared, don't be shy. You can approach people and ask questions, but you have to observe and know who you can approach and who you should just let going. If they look like they're busy heading to work or have their AirPods in, don't even try. But if they look like they're like, you know, enjoying the scenery, having a nice day, just lazing about in the park, feel free to go and ask them questions. What I realized with the French, some of them speak some English, not like, you know what happened when I was looking it up or talking to other people, they're like, oh, don't worry. They're like, oh, don't worry. Most people speak English as well as French there. So, but what I realized, they I don't know if it was where we were located, but sometimes you would approach them and they wouldn't speak English. But we're in a French speaking country, so we shouldn't really go there expecting them to speak our language. No, that's wrong. So what I did, I learned a few phrases in French, learn a few introductory phrases like hi, or learn how to say do you speak English, in like say it in French. What I realized, when you approach them and you say like bonjour and whatever, they were more willing to, you know, give you some help, rather than if you just went up to them and started running your mouth in English without even a simple introduction. That's what I realized. I think they appreciate that you're trying although you don't got it, but you're still trying. So learn a few tiny simple greetings in French, approach them, and don't worry to ask. When I was doing my research, they told me that a lot of people in Paris were rude. I did not get that from them. I was actually surprised because I was expecting them to be rude. And then people in New York, trust and believe. New Yorkers are nice, but we have a time when we are not so nice, especially when, you know, you're busy, you're late for work, you're rushing, and it's just like any big city. So, but the people in France, they were a whole lot nicer than the people in New York. I could tell you that for sure. They actually were pretty pleasant. They would smile, you know. So I was like, oh, okay, so they're not so bad. Maybe these people are getting a bad rep, you know, because they were pretty friendly for the most part. So no, they're not. I didn't see them as being rude. You just have to know it's a big city. They have a life too. You have to know when you could bother people and when you should just leave them alone. Because if they look busy and distracted and rushing, just like New York, if they're on the go, they're on the go. Don't leave them alone. But if, you know, most people who are just chilling and walking, you know, they would be more than likely to assist you. And I think because we were in the city center, they're so used to being around tourists that I don't think they were annoyed by, you know, simple tourist behavior, like us taking 10 million photos of the Eiffel Tower and pointing at it all day. I don't think they were annoyed by it. I think they were a little bit amused by it, but not annoyed, and they weren't rude. They were very gracious and accommodating. So I have to really give them that. To get around, we use Uber. So we took Uber from food-wise. So food-wise, the food in Paris, it wasn't terrible, but I've had better food. So we just went to like whichever restaurant was closest to us at whatever time we felt hungry, and there was tons of little cafes. The food was okay. It wasn't terrible, but it's not like it was like the best food I've ever had in my life. Maybe I don't know, maybe my palate's not cut out for French food. Anyway, the best thing they do there though, if you have a sweet tooth and you like desserts, you love pastries, that's the place for you. They had tons of beautiful little bakeries, and you had there tons of really brightly colored cakes, and they were baked to perfection. The croissants were amazing. Yeah, macaroons. That's the home of macaroons, so it was good. If you like desserts, sweet tooth, chocolate. Those people love chocolate. My gosh, like they really love chocolate. So if you love chocolate, that's the place for you. You're gonna love it. There are a few recommendations that I would really definitely advise you. If you're gonna go, make sure you do these things. One thing I would do, but I did not do that, I would definitely invest in paying for Wi-Fi service. I was looking up a pocket Wi-Fi, or if your phone company does roaming, before you go, have the roaming turned on, because you would get, the cafes will give you Wi-Fi. You have Wi-Fi in the hotel, but as I said before, if you're walking around outside, you won't have any Wi-Fi service, and it's hard. You can't use Google Maps, because if I had Google Maps and I had my iTranslate app going, you wouldn't have been able to tell I wasn't a French girl. I would have been walking like a local, but because I didn't have any Wi-Fi service, I didn't have any Google Maps going, I had to, rely on a paper map and ask people if I got lost or anything. So definitely having on-the-go Wi-Fi. And also the Wi-Fi, if you need an Uber, say for example you're walking around the city center, right, and you're tired, you could have simply just dialed the Uber to get back to the hotel rather than having to walk back to the hotel or get on a crazy bike taxi. And the Uber, it was way cheaper than the bike taxi. Can you believe it? The little bicycle cost more than the Uber, because we never paid more than 11 euros for the Uber. That was the most expensive, well, apart from the airport one, but the airport's a long distance. But that tiny bike peep guy, he charged us 25 euros just to get to the Eiffel Tower, and Uber would have been so much cheaper. So make sure you turn on your roaming service for your phone. If you don't have roaming, my phone company, I didn't even ask, but I don't think they would have allowed it, because I have one. You know what, let me not get into my phone company. So if your phone does do roaming, turn on the roaming. If that's not possible, try to look into getting like a pocket Wi-Fi or a pocket hotspot, so you'd have Wi-Fi on the go while you're, out and about shopping and browsing and taking a million pictures of the tower and annoying people with your stupid questions. Another thing that I brought that I'm so glad I did was this. It's like a converter, because their plugs, they look like this, and you would need like your phone to be charged, blow dryer, flat iron, whatever else you have, electronic device. So always get one of these when you're going, because you're gonna need it. I also saw them selling it on the sidewalk, but sometimes you don't have time to run out and buy things like this. You want to bring it with your luggage. So another thing, I only brought one with me. It was my mom and I traveling. I wish I had brought more than one, because it got a bit hairy. Say, what if I need to curl my hair and my mom needs to, charge her phone? Now we had to be sharing one. So if you're traveling with more than one person, bring enough so that all of you could, be doing whatever you need to do without having to wait to use things. So definitely you're gonna need this. I think this is good for any plug in Europe. Yeah, I think that's how all the plugs in Europe are. Correct me if you're familiar. Are they all like this? Would you need it for all European countries, or was it just Paris? But this worked pretty good. I got this on Amazon. It was pretty inexpensive, so you should get this if you're gonna go, because you're gonna need it. One other thing, what I realized, just like New York, Paris is a city where you're gonna be doing a lot of walking, especially if you're interested. You're gonna wanna walk. It has beautiful buildings, beautiful architecture. We went in the winter and it was still beautiful. I can only imagine in the summer when everything is in full bloom how much even nicer it's gonna be. So you're gonna wanna walk. You're gonna wanna look at the historical monuments if you like that kind of thing. You're just gonna wanna take it all in. So you don't wanna be in a car locked away for the whole trip. You're gonna wanna be outside walking, being among the people. So I would recommend, do not bring high heels. Bring flat, comfortable shoes. That's one thing. I brought a bunch of flat shoes, and I'm so grateful that I brought them, especially if you're gonna be doing like sightseeing. You're gonna be going into the museums. Trust me, those museums are huge. You're gonna feel like you walked a mile just by walking to one museum. The Versailles is huge. I felt like I was walking for days and I still didn't see the whole Versailles. So bring comfortable shoes, because if your shoes aren't comfortable, you're not gonna enjoy a thing. But the thing is, if you're gonna be wearing heels, because if you want to dress up and go out and look good, make sure you have a car to pick you up where you're staying and take you directly to the restaurant or wherever you're going. Don't think you're gonna walk in those heels. You're gonna be in pain, because it's a lot of walking. So bring comfortable shoes. Remember, I told you, bring comfortable shoes. As in terms of like clothing, I don't believe in policing what people wear. Wear whatever you like and whatever makes you feel comfortable. Nobody there is looking at people, and no, they're not. Nobody cares about what people are wearing. Well, one thing I did love, I loved sitting at the cafe and people watching. The people in Paris are so well dressed and so well put together. Even the babies were giving French slay. I'm like, wow. It seems like all of them, each and every person up there sat and thought about what they were gonna put on when they were leaving their house. Everybody was so well put together. Their clothes was so nice and well tailored. I loved that. So just keep that in mind when you're going. But nobody's gonna police your clothes. Wear whatever you wanna wear and whatever makes you feel comfortable and happy. That's it. And most of the people, they were just like people in New York. They were pretty casual, just being casual, comfortable, well put together and clean, and their hair was nicely done. Everybody looking, really nice. I love to people watch. From the baby to the granny was slaying. It was nice to watch. It was just a sight. You could just sit there, drink some hot chocolate, and just look at the slayage. It was nice. Even couples were coordinated dressing, not like a corny dressing, but like they were, nicely slaying together. It was nice. It's just a bunch of slayed going on up there. And then speaking of slayage, designer, if you like designer clothing, designer purses, that's the place to buy it, because it's way cheaper in Paris than it would be in the US. And then I think when you're gonna go buy designer stuff, bring your passport with you, and they're gonna give you a paper so you could show that at the airport, and then you could get your money. Like, I think it's the taxes or something they're gonna give you back, but you're gonna get a nice little discount. I think they said it's like a 15% discount. Correct me if I'm wrong. No, but you get a discount when you go to the designer stores and you bring your passport. So if you're planning on buying like a designer purse, designer bags, clothing, jewelry, that's the place to get it. That's the one thing I'm sorry that I didn't do. I should have brought, a plan to get some designer stuff. But trust me, I will be back. And when I go back there, it's not sightseeing, it's shopping journey. So I'll probably bring you guys along, but I'm definitely going back, and it's just gonna be like a huge shopping trip, because trust and believe, I love a discount. Yeah. I hope the information I've shared with you will be very helpful when you are planning your own trip to Paris. Feel free to comment down below if you have any useful tidbits that I didn't mention in this video that other people could find helpful. And also, probably you could leave some tips that I could find helpful when I do go back for my next trip. I'll catch you guys in the next video.